Hey guys, Skinnyboy here, bringing you another Malifaux battle report. So today, my 10 Thunders are going to be taking on some Arcanists. First and foremost, as always, we will define and place terrain. So here's a shot of our board. In the center there, we've got that building, which is impassable. We have forests, which are blocking, severe, and soft cover. We have some fences, which are height 1, soft cover, and then those tombstone markers are all height 1 hard cover. For strats and schemes, this is what we flipped up. We are going to be doing some corner deployment. Our strategy is interference. And our schemes are exhaust their forces, leave your mark, covert breakthrough, frame for murder, and as always, convict labor. So bearing this in mind, for interference, I'm looking for something with a lot of a high-ish model count that can run in and engage my opponents to stop them from scoring, but also allowing me to score. Looking at the schemes, there's not a ton of kill-y stuff, so more movement-based and support tricks are what I'm going to be after here, and stuff that has good interactions with scheme markers. So this is the list that I took. My master is Shenlong, and I've just given him the Wandering River style upgrade. With him, I've taken 2 peasants to start off with. That's mainly so I can put one of those next to a Katanaka sniper and go ahead and just start focusing those snipers so that they can get 2 focus shots a turn, rather than trying to summon one in. The main downside to trying to summon in a peasant first turn is that it might be a little bit out of position depending on where the snipers go, although that shouldn't really have been a problem with corner deployment. I also have Sensei Yu, who's got the Promising Disciple upgrade. I brought a Toto with the Call the Thunder upgrade, 2 Katanaka snipers, and 2 Tango. On the Arcanist side of things, we have Rasputina. With her, she brought 2 December Acolytes, 2 Ice Gammon, an Ice Golem, Joss, and the Wendigo. So looking back at our schemes, I'm going to do something a little bit different this report. I'm actually going to reveal to you what schemes I've chosen, so that I can give a bit of commentary on what I'm doing throughout the game and what I'm thinking. So with that, I'm going to take Convict Labor and Leave Your Mark. This combined with interference means that I don't actually have to interact with my opponent at all, and if he doesn't put pressure on me, I'm fairly confident that I can complete both those schemes relatively easily. As for what he's taken, he's got a slow crew and a killy crew, and I don't think any of the schemes really lend themselves to that. So I really have no idea what he's trying to do. So this is a shot of deployment. I'm in the bottom left and he's up in the top right. The overall strategy I had when I set up was Sensei Yu was going to push off the Tengu to start heading over to the bottom left-hand corner of the table, where they could start dropping ski markers for Convict Labor and Leave Your Mark. And then Sensei Yu and Shenlong would head up to the top left-hand corner to try and secure that. They can drop a couple more ski markers over there if need be, so that I'd be able to score for interference and again Convict Labor and Leave Your Mark. With that one Katanaka sniper who deployed fairly close to my deployment zone, he's going to hold down that table quarter. And then I from the shadows in the second Katanaka sniper all the way over on the left-hand side here, with the goal there that he would essentially start holding down that flank and chipping off wounds from the opponent's crew. Of course, that plan went out the window when this happened. So he went ahead and used From the Shadows to deploy 2 of his December Acolytes in melee with that Katanaka sniper, which was, I think, a bit of a bold move. Katanaka snipers are actually pretty decent in combat, and he's essentially using 14 points to tie up my 1 7-point model. But seeing that, my plan now is going to change. In addition, he stacked his entire crew over on the left-hand side of his deployment zone, as you can see there. So I think they're going to book it straight down towards the December Acolytes and my Katanaka sniper. He's probably going to want the top right and the bottom right, as I'm looking at it, table quarters, so he can score for interference, and then just try and do whatever his schemes are. So with that in mind, this is my my deployment zone. And yeah, instead of going off to the right, what I'm going to try and do is head straight up and stick to the left 2 deployment zones. If I can get around that house, I can start dropping ski markers over there, especially if he's going to come down to the bottom right. That house is a really good blocker for me to start putting down markers for my 2 schemes on the opposite side of it. So looking at turn 1, that's exactly what I do. You'll notice that there are a bunch of ski markers dropped around my deployment zone. That's because I wanted the Tengu to get their free 5-inch movement so they could shoot up and head as close to the center of the board as possible. And you can see that they went there. They didn't go quite as direct a route as those arrows are showing, but that's where they've ended up. Sensei Yu has also started pushing up towards the top of the board there. If you look over at the right-hand side of the board where my Katanaka sniper was that was engaged with those 2 December Acolytes, I activated him right away. I won initiative and just went double defensive. And if he wants to waste his AP trying to get through that 1 sniper, that's totally fine with me. And that's exactly what happens. He activates the 2 December Acolytes, only manages to hit that sniper once, does do 4 damage and gives him slow, but we're still sitting on 2 wounds and he's wasted a ton of AP. He's also gone ahead and thrown an Ice Gammon down there to help out in that situation. You can see the rest of his crew is just moving like I thought they would down towards the bottom of the board. My other Katanaka sniper, he took 2 shots into the melee with my Katanaka sniper. And at this point I thought maybe he's got exhaust your forces. And he's just going to sit there engaging my Katanaka sniper and put the condition onto him and remove it to score every turn. So I figured if I shoot into the combat, well, if I kill my own sniper, it's not a big deal, because then he won't be able to consistently do that. The fact that he started beating up on him made me reconsider that opinion. But what happened was I managed to randomize onto the same Acolyte twice and just kill him outright. So that's what that red X is that you're seeing over there. Now, once he realized the power of that single Katanaka sniper being able to take 2 focus shots a turn, he starts laying down ice pillars to give himself some cover as he advances down the board. So that's just another shot of my deployment zone there. We've got 1 peasant who's booking it straight north. Shenlong is staying relatively central. The token next to him, he just starts stacking burning. I like to do that with him at the beginning of the game. Focus and burning are some good ones, so that he can get quite offensive mid to late game. However, that 1 December Acolyte that I luckily managed to randomize onto twice was the sucker for Frame for Murder. So I ended up giving my opponent 2 victory points there. However, it's only 2 because it wasn't a master or henchman that did it. So I kind of think of that as denying my opponent a victory point as opposed to giving him 2. So I'm more than happy with that trade. So at the end of the game, or at the end of the turn, sorry, it's 2-0 to the Arcanists. So the Arcanists shoot into an early lead at the end of turn 1. Here's just another look. That is a bad place to be if you were that Katanaka sniper. So going into turn 2, this is what it looks like. So I've just drawn an approximation of where the center line is down the middle of the board in that blue line. So we'll go ahead and start talking about the Rasputina player's turn. Not much happened. He tries to beat up on that Katanaka sniper some more. Again, can't hit him. I'm top decking a lot of severes with my defensive stance. And with that, I'm kind of bearing in mind that I'm giving up a lot of 11s, 12s, and 13s, which means I don't want to try and push my luck with engaging him because I'm using up a lot of my high cards. So by the time my 3rd or 4th activation has come around, I know that most of my severes have been burned. So I don't want to force his hand right now. Sensei Yu, he started off where that green circle is there over on the left-hand side. He got pushed up, given fast, and he picked up the ski marker that he was standing next to. So then when he got pushed, he was able to throw it down into the center line. And then he booked it another 14 inches over to that side of the board and dropped a ski marker down there. So I'll be able to get that for Leave Your Mark. The two Tengu, they started off their turn within 2 inches of the center line, so they were able to just drop their ski markers. There's another ski marker that I just put that is represented by that orange circle next to the house there that you couldn't really see. So I've got 3 markers down on the line now thanks to the two Tengu and the mighty gust on Senseiyu. Toto is just kind of moving up into a universal position, same with Shenlong. They can go north of that house or they can go south of that house depending on how things go. The Rasputina player has thrown up another set of ice pillars to stop my Katanaka sniper shooting into that combat and randomizing onto his Ice Gammon or his 2nd December Acolyte. And he went ahead and tried to do that using the Wendigo to block off a line of sight to Joss there, who's coming around the side of that building. Unfortunately, he failed. He Black Jokered it, so couldn't even cheat it in. And so that sniper went ahead and took another couple shots at Joss. Didn't do a ton of damage. That armor too is pretty tough to get off of. Yeah, so at the end of the turn, I'll score 3 victory points. 1 for interference, 1 for leave your mark, and 1 for convict labor. And my opponent will also score for interference, as he's got the top right and the bottom right table quarters. So it's all tied up right now. And at this point, I'm pretty certain that he doesn't have exhaust your forces because he's only trying to attack my Katanaka sniper. He's not putting the condition on him at all. So I still haven't figured out what his other scheme is. So then, going into turn 3, if you look up the top, Senseiyu is just moving deeper into enemy territory, if you like. He's passed over into the top right-hand table quarter, and he's dropped a ski marker there. A Toto is also shot across into that table marker, or into that table quarter, to either just to provide a deterrent. Like if you come back in here, you're going to get charged by a Toto, who can put down the hurt. The two Tango are shoring up the top left-hand quarter. They're just putting more ski markers down. Right now I've got 4 on the center line for convict labor, just in case one of his guys makes a dash and tries to cancel out one of them by standing next to it. In the previous turn I had sacrificed 1 peasant just to give Shenlong another action. Him and Senseiyu are jumping between Wandering River style, so I'm just doing that so that I can get more pushes and more fast onto the other members of my crew. Shenlong, he's just moved back down there, as you can see him, providing another threatening position if anyone tries to come into my table quarter down there. He's pushed a Katanaka sniper into the bottom forest, who went ahead and took a shot at the Wendigo, took a couple wounds off him, and then moved onto the other side of the forest so that Rasputina can't actually see him. If you look over on the right-hand side of the board, you'll notice that green X there is where that plucky little Katanaka sniper used to be. Again, he spent most of this turn just top-decking Severes, but eventually he was taken down. But it's taken 3 turns and the efforts of 3 models to kill him. So as far as I'm concerned, that's actually 7 points well spent, even though he did nothing but go defensive. So he's changed tactics here a little bit with his Ice Golem and Ice Gammon. They've decided to turn back around and deal with the threat of a Toto and Senseiyu being up in their table quarters. And Rasputina is just kind of sliding around, coming down there towards the bottom right. He's not really been doing much with Rasputina, just moving her, which is, I mean, I don't know how that effective is, but I think if you've got your high casting Killy Master who's spending most of her AP just sliding around the board, gaining armor, sure, I'm not taking any shots at her, but she's also not taking any shots at me. And like I said, I don't need to interact with my opponent unless he puts pressure on me. And right now he's really not. He's just putting up ice pillars to stop me from hurting him, which I'm more than okay with. Joss went ahead and dropped a ski marker on the center line there. So at this point I figured out that he's got convict labor for his second scheme. And I think that's going to be a tough one for him to score, seeing as how he's only gotten 1 marker down and it's already turn 3. So here's just another shot. From my point of view, you can get a better idea of what the Tengu are up to there at the top of the picture. And over here is where the center of the Raspi crew is at. So at the end of the turn, I will once again score for Leave Your Mark, Convict Labor, and Interference. But crucially, I will also deny my opponent interference at this point, as he only has the bottom left-hand corner. So it's 6-3 to the 10th letters. So go ahead into turn 4. Talk about the Tengu up at the top. One Tengu is just shooting off, and he's going to drop a 5th marker on the center line just because he can. And the other guy jumps into 6 inches past the center line, my opponent's half of the board, so he can drop another ski marker, which is essentially a redundant ski marker for Leave Your Mark. So Sensei Yu over there, he also had another ski marker down. But what happened was that Ice Gammon, who was on one side of the forest, he ran through the forest and got within 4 inches of the marker to stop it being able to score for Leave Your Mark. So what Sensei Yu did was he went ahead and he just pushed the Ice Gammon into melee range with a Toto. That got it away from 4 inches from the marker, and also meant that the Ice Gammon was now not scoring for interference, and so wasn't competing with Sensei Yu. The Ice Golem went ahead and also charged a Toto, put a bit of hurt on him, not too much, he's fine. In fact, I want him to take about 6 wounds so that he gets his enraged ability. So he's just sitting there tying up those guys, stopping them from scoring from interference, while Sensei Yu will still score for that for me. If you look down at the bottom right, that December Acolyte has just gone and dropped a ski marker for my opponent's Convict Labor. My Katanaka Sniper just took a focus and shot the Ice Gammon, hitting his critical strike trigger and then a severe on the damage flip to kill him outright. In the center of the board, the Ice Pillars went down, and I decided now is the time to get aggressive with Shenlong. So he moves down and then charges into the mix of the Wendigo, Joss, and Rasputina. And at this point, he has the High River style, his offensive style, on there. So he puts 2 attacks onto Joss, manages to hit one of them with Severe, because he had built up a lot of focus, and blasted 3 damage onto Rasputina. Now I did this very, very badly. I wasn't going to kill Joss because of how many wounds he had left, his hard to kill on his armor. I wasn't going to kill Rasputina. What I should have done was either charge the Wendigo or try to position myself so that if I attack Joss, I could blast onto the Wendigo. I got a little bit greedy though. What I wanted to do was try and get Joss down to his hard to kill so he would gain reactivate. And then I can steal reactivate using Shenlong. So I was trying to set that up for the next turn. But it didn't pan out that way. So the Wendigo had also moved forward, dropped down that ski marker. So he's got 3 down for Convict Labor now, but Sensei Yu is currently inhibiting the one next to Joss from counting. I went ahead and sacrificed another peasant as well after Shenlong had ran in there, failed to do a ton of damage or kill anything, and just switched him to the Low River style to give him some defensive. But then this happened. Rasputina pushes out of combat and then uses her ability to hand out Paralyzed, randomizes him to combat, manages to hit Shenlong and paralyze him. Now fortunately the Wendigo is already gone, so we can't devour him just yet, but it doesn't look too good for Shenlong being in there. But at the end of the turn, I will once again score for my 2 schemes and the strategy, putting me at 9, and keeping the Arcanists down to 3, as he is only in control of 1 table quarter. Going into turn 5 then, I activate, or I win the initiative. I activate first, then I grab Shenlong just to get rid of that, get rid of the Paralyze. He can't do anything else. Then Rasputina goes ahead and activates, manages to paralyze him again, and then in comes the Wendigo and manages to devour Shenlong. So that's the end of the Tyrant Dragon Shenlong. He got eaten by the little Wendigo totem. And there was just, I mean, that melee aid is rough, but that was pretty good. In other news, the December Acolyte, he just moves up, drops another scheme marker, because why not? Nothing else really of note happens. I've maxed out on my schemes at this point, and I'm going to score again for the strategy. Up to the top, Atoto just punches out that one ice gammon just because he can, and then just tanks the hits from the ice golem. So at the end of the game, my opponent will score once more for convict labor, and I will score for interference, with the final score being 10-4 and a victory to the 10 Thunders. So that's all for this one. Thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. You can also follow me on Twitter, where I put various hobby updates. You can find me on Facebook or on the Wyrd forums, where I have a page where I post all my battle reports as well. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Bye.